I've been talking to people about Mayor Pete Buttigieg. I try to tell people that there are things about Mayor Pete that you should be concerned about. A lot of people like Mayor Pete for some reason. They think that Mayor Pete is a breath of fresh air. One of the reasons why I'm concerned about Mayor Pete is that I pay very close attention to when he starts talking. Now, here goes an interview that he did, an excerpt of an interview he did with David Axelrod. You know, Axelrod, I think he was the campaign chairman for Barack Obama, President Obama. It was a very interesting conversation. There's a lot of stuff they talked about. They talked about race. They talked about many issues. 40% of South Bend, Indiana is black, but I saw maybe 2 black people at his announcement ceremony. It didn't make sense. That's easy to talk about. But I want to talk about his fundraising.
I mentioned at the top that you raised quite a bit of money, almost $25 million in a quarter, which was phenomenal. In this book, you were talking about your race for state treasurer of Indiana, and you said you have to wonder about fundraising, whether like spending too much time typing or sunbathing, it does something unhealthy to you in the long run. You've just done 70 fundraisers in places like Hollywood and Wall Street, Silicon Valley. You've become kind of a favored candidate of the elite. Does it give you any concern?
Well, we're trying to reach everybody at every different level. It's why, in addition to the traditional political work we do, we also have a lot of grassroots fundraisers where tickets are very affordable. We'll fill a theater full of people to make sure that that we're interacting not just with the kind of traditional party raisers, but anybody who really cares about
Elizabeth Warren's not doing any fundraisers at all. She just raised almost as much as you, a little 20 million. Yeah, okay, you are competitive, but she said she's not doing them because she thinks they're corrosive.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately this only gets better when we fix the system itself. Citizens United was a disaster for American democracy, and until we change our campaign finance system, we're going to continue to have this problem that the people we elect and expect to spend their time solving our policy problems are spending way too much of their time just raising the dollars they need in order to pay the field organizers in Iowa. Yeah, how else can we fund our campaign?
So you're going to play by the rules as they're written now and then try and change them if you get the chance?
Well, I can't change them until we get the chance, but that's our plan.
There was Mayor Pete talking to Axelrod about fundraising. Now, some of you may have watched that and you didn't really see or hear anything that really jumped out at you because Mayor Pete is such a good communicator. He's so smooth, so to speak. Sort of a slick talker, and that's not he's good at speaking. He's good at speaking. He's good at projecting this. I'm a nice guy. You know, I'm a really nice guy, and I'm just here to be a nice guy, you know, and I just want what's best, and I'm real reasonable. And what you're going to see is you're going to witness a reasonableness that you're lacking when you look at Donald Trump. And my whole purpose here is to make America better, and I'd walk your dog, and I could spend time alone with your significant other, and I wouldn't try anything because I'm a very reasonable person. I'm full of ethics, and this is what I do. I don't wear my pants too tight or too loose, and I don't throw trash in the street. I do none of these things. So you may have missed some of the things about Mayor Pete in that clip that you should pay attention to. What I like to do now is play it one more time. And this time I want you to focus not on the way he's talking, but focus on what he says, the responses to Axelrod.
At the top that you raised quite a bit of money, almost $25 million in a quarter, which was phenomenal. In this book, you were talking about your race for state treasurer of Indiana, and you said you have to wonder about fundraising, whether like spending too much time typing or sunbathing, it does something unhealthy to you in the long run. You've just done 70 fundraisers in places like Hollywood and Wall Street, Silicon Valley. You've become kind of a favored candidate of the elite. Does it give you any concern?
Well, we're trying to reach everybody at every different level. It's why, in addition to the traditional political work we do, we also have a lot of grassroots fundraisers where tickets are very affordable. We'll fill a theater full of people to make sure that that we're interacting not just with the kind of traditional party raisers, but anybody who really cares about
Elizabeth Warren's not doing any fundraisers at all. She just raised almost as much as you, a little 20 million. Yeah, okay, you are competitive, but she said she's not doing them because she thinks they're corrosive.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately this only gets better when we fix the system itself. Citizens United was a disaster for American democracy. And until we change our campaign finance system, we're going to continue to have this problem that the people we elect and expect to spend their time solving our policy problems are spending way too much of their time just raising the dollars they need in order to pay the field organizers
Including you.
in Iowa. Yeah, how else can we fund our campaign?
So you're going to play by the rules as they're written now and then try and change them if you get the chance?
Well, I can't change them until we get the chance, but that's our plan.
Just want to make sure we all paid attention to that. We all saw it. Now, okay. So what I did was I took notes at everything, pretty much everything that was said. So this is one of the things about Mayor Pete that you got to pay attention to. Mayor Pete wrote a book, and in that book, he talked about fundraising. He said that fundraising was damaging. It was damaging. It was corrosive. That fundraising is not good for you. Doing all this fundraising when you're running for an office, which he ran for, treasurer, that it wasn't good. Like it was like typing too much is not good for your wrist, or being in the sun can give you sun cancer. Being in the sun too much, prolonged exposure, can give you sun cancer. So he admitted this years ago that this was not good, but now he's doing it anyway. Axelrod points out you did 70 fundraisers, even though you're the guy that said fundraising isn't so good. Now, as Pete defends doing the thing that he said wasn't good, he obscures the reason why it's not good. And then he tries to equate that this is just typical politicians. He says traditional political work. In combination with traditional political work, i.e. going behind closed doors, doing private fundraisers with rich tycoons, billionaires, millionaires. That's what he means by traditional political work. He equates that with going to a gymnasium with regular people, as if there is no difference between the two. Well, one is when you go to these private fundraisers, no one can see what you're saying. No one can hear what you're talking about and what promises you're making, what deals you may be hooking up in order to get those big donations. We do an open door town hall. People can come. People like Tim Black can show up. We can take pictures. We can take notes. We can come back and report it. What's said is not private. This was the same knock we had about Hillary Clinton. See, I had a lot of conversation, a lot of fire for Hillary Clinton, but I try to be fair. We should be just as fair with Mayor Pete. Mayor Pete is doing behind doors fundraising in the Cascades, Calabasas, in Hollywood, in Silicon Valley, and other places, raising money. What is he talking about? Maybe there's a reason why Mayor Pete says, Medicare, I want Medicare for all who want it. Like that's not a thing, but he wants to make that a thing. Like Medicare for all who want it. Maybe that has something to do with the fundraising he's doing. Then Axelrod corners him and says, well, you know, Elizabeth Warren raised almost as much money as you, but she didn't do closed-door fundraisers with the big tycoons. Now, some people have sent me some information that shows that may not be totally true. So that remains to be seen. But Pete says, yeah, but she didn't raise as much as us. So Pete's only concerned with not about how he raises money, not about who he gets it from. He's more concerned about how much he got. How much money he has is most important to Pete. Why don't we want candidates taking a lot of big money from big money interest or, you know, tycoons, rich billionaires, millionaires? Why don't we want that? Is it because we hate money? No, we don't hate money. It's because we don't want the undue influence that giving big sums of money to our candidates will result in. You can't tell me somebody gets you millions of dollars or whatever, these bundlers with millions of these people just show up with bags of money, that doesn't have an influence on your campaign. That doesn't have an influence on your policy. You're a human being. You're trying to run. You need money. They're giving you money. Then they say, well, I want you to do this. And you're like, oh, I can't do that. Well, then I can't give you any more money. So much for all the bundling. It's not that progressives hate money. It's not that conservatives who are against it, because a lot of Americans are against this. Conservatives, liberals, progressives, moderates, pretty much everyone who wants a real democracy doesn't want corporations buying our politicians. We want the people to buy them. We want the people to fund you. Pete, if you listen to Pete, it's almost as if he doesn't even believe that's possible, that people can be funded or the campaigns can be funded by people. Yeah, if your issues are attractive to people, people will give you money to further those issues because they care about those issues. Bernie Sanders, that's what he's been doing. You know, Bernie Sanders raised a lot of money as well. He's raised a lot more money than Pete over this, maybe not this last quarter, but he blew Pete away in fundraising. And he didn't go behind the closed doors and do private fundraisers with millionaires and special interest groups. What up? Then Pete says, we need to change the rules, but until we change the rules, I'm going to exploit the rules for my benefit. That's not what you want in a leader. Is that really what you want? I know this thing is wrong, and I've wrote about it being wrong, and this is not helpful at all, but I'm going to do it. Even if I don't have to do it and others aren't doing it, I'm going to do it because it's easier. For me. Elect me. I'll be a great leader. Doesn't really sound like leadership, like style. Does it? See, this is the thing about Mayor Pete. If you didn't have the context of that, you just hear the guy talk, you go, oh, I like this guy. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would run over my roses or nothing. Doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would use the N-word or nothing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, sounds pretty decent. But unless you pay close attention to what he's saying and what he's not saying, you can miss the boat on Mayor Pete, and you may be deluded into thinking that Mayor Pete is a leader. He ain't a leader. Mayor Pete is a guy out for himself. Mayor Pete will do the wrong thing because it's expedient. That ain't a leader. That's not what we need right now. If you think a guy like that will take shortcuts right now, from a small town in South Bend, Indiana mayor who has his whole life ahead of him, who can slowly build a coalition, slowly build a campaign, and slowly build momentum, do you think that guy really can beat Donald Trump? I don't think he can. I don't think there's enough difference. I don't think he's going to have bold enough policies. I don't think that Mayor Pete really gets it, that the world was one way, and now it's a different way. And we're not going to be able to run people. America will not stomach fake, plastic, uninteresting people who play games with words. Now, I know people are going to say, what about Trump? And we're about to get into Trump. Trump did something revolutionary, and he ran against Hillary Clinton. There was a couple reasons. One was he manipulated the media. He threw raw meat at the media. Get at that. Get at it. Come on. I know you. Come on, boy. Come on, CBS. Come on, Fox. Come on, MSNBC. I know you. Oh. Hey, Fox. He did that thing. That's why he's president. And he was also running against this lady who's sitting over there going, why should I have to campaign? I'm Hillary. Everybody should just fall down. Fall down, fall down, fall down. The world's a different place, and now people are looking for something radically different than what we've had. And there needs to be a contrast to Donald Trump, just not in nice words, but in vision. Vision. So, Pete raised a lot of money. But that ain't good for us. It don't help us. It only helps Pete. And it's not really good for Pete either. That's his own words. It's bad when you disagree with your own self, It's embarrassing. Bunch of fundraising is wrong. 2 years later, but sometimes you just got to do it anyway because, even if it's wrong, you got to win, though. So forget what I said. That was just to sell that stupid book. All right, next.